我们感谢神的恩典，能够在每一年的11月当中里面，我们都有机会能够在主的面前，能来思考这个宣教的这个题目。
Every November we can come before Him to rethink about missions.
神保守带领我们大成教会来，经过1990年，我们开始了我们的宣教。
God has protected and led us since 1990 as we started on these missions.
在这个过程上，神都带领了我们有33年的时间。
Through the whole 33 years, the whole process, God has been leading us.
那么相信许多弟兄姐妹点点滴滴的都有参加过一些的短宣。
And we believe all our brothers and sisters have participated in missions in one way or another.
那么这一次呢，我们感谢神的恩典，能够带领我们短短的大概10天的时间，在柬埔寨的这一个的刚刚我们从星期五的时间里面回到这边。
And we thank God for a short 10 days or so. God has led a group of us on missions, and we have returned on last the Friday.
那些刚才有早一点来到这个场地的时候，圣殿当中里面，你就可以看到我们的一些的过去的一些的短片。
And for those of us who arrived earlier in this sanctuary, you have seen snippets of our missions over the years.
然后我们就用最后的那5年的时间，我们一起来重温神的恩典在我们大成教会。
Today, we will recap based on the last 5 years of missions that we have been on.
那我们就可以请那个音响能够把最后的那个 clip 能够放出来，最后那个 clip 我们就到了2019年，就是我们最后before COVID 的时候，我们出去宣教。
So, are we able to take a look at the clips from 2019, the last trip before COVID?
那我们就可以来回想之后，然后我就请Peter 来能够在我们当中来短短的分享他这一次的这个行程。
As we look through these last 5 years, let's recap and think through how God has been with us, and then we get Peter to share his experience for this current trip. We invite Peter to share his experience for this trip. 我们邀请Peter 上来分享他这一次旅程的经历。
Hello, everyone.
大家好，
Thank you.
谢谢。
I want to say, first of all, thank you to the church
首先我要感谢教会，
because although there was no official plan to go to Cambodia this year,
虽然没有实际策划要到柬埔寨去宣教，
I'm grateful that I can tag along Uncle Kang and Auntie Anna to go to Cambodia this time.
我很感恩这次杨静执事跟丽玲姐妹让我跟他们伴随他们一同去柬埔寨。
The purpose of my visit to Cambodia was to explore the field.
我这一次去柬埔寨主要是去了解这个工厂的需要。
And perhaps, what are the ways that I can pray about my future plan, maybe to serve there.
可能更加清楚的了解如何的去为着我未来这个服侍的这个方向来祷告。
So I went with a big expectation as well as a low expectation. Was ready for anything. Yes.
我去到柬埔寨的时候是有很大的期盼，但是也不想想太多所以就看上帝怎么带领。
And there were many unexpected things that happened.
所以这次去有很多突发的状况。
For example, I was only supposed to teach 2 days at a school, Canon School.
原本在这个江南学校我只需要教导2天，
But I ended up teaching 5 days.
但是去到那边我结果教了5天的
And
课
some
程。
days I had to teach 3 classes in a day.
甚至有些日子，我们还要需要教到3班，一次教3班，一天教3班。
Yeah, but actually it's a good thing because that way I was able to teach from grade 7 all the way to 12.
这是一个很好的体验，因为我可以从这个中一到这个出院。
Yeah, so I could see the lower grades. They are very excited. They are, full of passion, and their English are good.
所以我可以看到这些的孩子他们都很有这个动力，他们都很迫切然后看到他们的英语都很好。
So I think our brother and sister, Winston and Wenli, right? They have done a very good job, I think. Yes.
所以我觉得这个国良跟婉仪之前在那里初步的服侍做了很好的工作。
And for the grade 12, the older ones, they are actually, I can see that their minds are quite transformed now through the school.
所以看到那些在读初中2的JC2 的这些学生他们的思想都因为学校的教育有些的改变。
So we talk some serious, matters about life, and when they go out of the school, and all that, and I could see that they are quite different already from the local.
所以跟这些读这出院的这些的学生可以看见他们的思想已经很成熟，可以跟他们探讨人生相信他们跟在那个本地的那些的学生有好一些的不同。
Yeah, I think because for many developing countries, I think the first thing to do is to change their mindset.
所以在发展中的国家当中首先要帮助人民成长的话，要帮助他们的思想可以成长。
Yeah, so I'm very glad to see the changing of the mindset.
所以我很感恩可以看到这些思想的建立。
Yep. And also I went to the villages.
我也有机会去到不同的村庄。
And I see the value of our Manna Bakery.
我也看到我们玛瑙烘焙在当地所扮演的角色。
The children love the bread.
我看见这些村庄当中的孩子都很喜欢这些的烘焙的面包。
And I kept trying to get one package.
我从他们当中想跟他们索取一个。
But Uncle was very strict, so he wouldn't let me take even one package.
但是杨静只是很严格，连一粒面包都不给我。
But then Auntie gave me the one, another 2 from the shop, so it's okay.
所以
Yeah.
但是在店里的时候丽玲姐妹就给了我
Yeah.
2粒。
It's really good. They're very good. Yes, well done.
所以这些面包都做得很好，感恩。
Yeah, but I think I realized that the children are hungry not only for the bread,
但是我发现的是，这些孩子不单是为着这些面包而饥饿，
but also for someone to love them, to care for them, and to journey with them.
他们更渴望的是有人可以能陪伴他们、爱护他们，跟他们一同的成长，一同的同行。
Yes, giving bread is important.
是的，我们分派这些面包是重要的。
Giving money is important.
我们奉献钱去资助事工是重要的，
But they also need somebody in person to journey with them.
但更重要的是，他们需要有人到他们当中一同伴随着他们。
And then in the Phnom Penh in the city, we also went to visit the CNEC dormitory.
在 Non Ban 我们也去探访了这个福音自传会的这些的宿舍。
So the dormitory hosts university students.
那个宿舍是接待学生的，
They can live there for free.
这些学生在那里生活的话是免费
Right?
的。
They only have to pay for the food.
他们只需要为着自己的饮食来缴费。
And I see that the dormitory is a wonderful place for evangelism as well as discipleship.
我看到这学生事工是一个很好来做这个传福音的地方，也是一个很好来做这个门徒训练的地方。
Because there are non-Christians there as well.
因为在这个学生宿舍当中有好一些还没有信主的这些学生，
Yeah, so it's like a ready field for harvest.
是一个已经预备好的工厂等待工人去收割。
You have the place, you have the people, you have the facilities.
你有那个地方，你有那个人，你有那些设施，
We just need the people to go and serve.
只要有工人在当中来服侍。
And right now, I think the staff there are struggling a bit.
是的，我们也看到当地的这些同工有一些的挣扎，
There's only one main pastor
在当中只有一位主要的牧者，
for almost about 70 students.
要照顾大概70位的这个
They are planning to take 100 students.
他们原本是预算要接待100个学生的。
Yeah. And so lastly, I want to say that one thing that kept coming back in our conversation, the 3 of us,
最后我要分享的是在我们3个人的交谈当中一直在重复的事是，
was that we need people.
是的，我们需要人在当中。
We keep planning for our bakery, our manna bakery. We have so many wonderful ideas to improve it, to go forward.
我们有很多很好的计划，让这个玛瑙烹焙可以继续的来发展。
Even for our church to be a part of that.
让我们大成教会也能参与在其中。
But at the end, we always come back, but we don't have people.
但是最终我们回到这一点，就是我们没有工人可以去。
So no matter how good the plan is, if we don't have full-time workers there, it's very hard.
无论那个计划有多么的良善，多么的美好，只要没有工人的话，这个事工就很难成型。
Yes, so please pray that God will send workers into the field.
所以我们期盼大家能一起的祷告，上帝能差派他的工人进入到他的工厂里。
And please, if you're called by God to be a full-time missionary, please pray about it and talk to the church leaders.
如果上帝有呼召你成为一位宣教士的话，请你跟教会的领袖们来分享，我们一起来祷告。
And as for me, continue to pray for my future.
为着我，也为着我的将来，继续的来代祷。
I see where I can fit in here. There's a lot of things I can do.
我看到在这些工厂当中，很多方面我可以参与在其中的。
But I'm still waiting on God to confirm.
但是我还是需要等待上帝来肯定这些的事工，这些的方向。
I'm interested in university students ministry.
我是很期盼可以参与在大学生的事工当中。
Yeah, and the dormitory sounds quite relevant to me.
所以呢，学生宿舍对我来说是一个很贴切的一个的环境。
But then also even the bakery sounds something that we can actually do to extend it into something like a English club place or a Bible study place.
而且我们的这玛瑙烹焙更有发展的潜能。 我们可以在这个社区当中来开办英文的课程，开办不同的课程，在帮助当地的这些的人民。
Yeah, so continue to pray for me as I wait on God's leading hand.
请弟兄姐妹继续为我祷告，让我在上帝面前的等候能清楚。
Yes. Thank you so much for your prayer.
谢谢大家的祷告，
Thank you.
谢谢。
好，我们感谢神的恩典哦。来，
We give thanks for His grace.
带彼得去有个好处，
When I bring Peter there, there's a bonus for me
因为他的肤色很像当地人。
because he looks a bit like locals.
那我在那边跟那当地人讨论的时候，我用简单的几句我会的，然后还用谷歌传译到要死要活。
When I'm talking to the locals, I use a bit of what I know, and then I have to use Google Translate to help me in the conversation.
然后对面看着我也很辛苦，
And the person looking at me feels challenging.
然后就转去彼得那边跟他讲柬埔寨话，
And then the person will turn to Peter and speak to him in Khmer,
他以为他是柬埔寨人，
thinking that he's a local as well,
然后坐在旁边能够帮我解释一下，
thinking that he will help to explain.
很多次不是一次。
It's not just once, it happened many times.
我们去 restaurant 也一样，讲到一半啊，他们又不要跟他讲话，跑去隔壁跟他讲话。
When we went for meals to restaurant, after a while they don't talk to me and try to talk to Peter.
他比我更惨，
Then he feels it worse than me.
我至少1、2、3、4、5、6、7我还懂得怎么讲，他连1、2、3、4、5、6、7都不会讲。
At least I know how to say one to the numbers in Khmer, but Peter don't even know it.
把神给他有一个宣教的肤色，
But God gave him the 10 for missions.
他去柬埔寨像柬埔寨人，
When he goes to Cambodia, he looks like a local.
他去泰国像泰国人，
When he goes to Thailand, he looks like a Thai.
对，他回印度，人家不觉得他是印度人，
But when he went back to India, they don't feel that he's an Indian.
所以他不适合留在印度。
So I don't think he should stay in India.
那我们感谢神的恩典，
We give thanks for his grace.
能够给我们大成教会是一个在宣教的合场当中里面，我们有负担的一个教会。
That God gave to us this burden for missions.
在早期当中里面，新加坡是一个很落后的国家，
In the early days when Singapore was a bit backward,
然后有美国机构当中里面的 CNEC 来到这个新加坡这样的一个地方。
we see American missions agency CNEC coming to Singapore.
其实 CNEC 是一个很历史悠久的一个宣教的一个组织。
So CNEC is a organization with a long history.
从美国西方国家，然后再跟我们东方国家配合，然后进入了中国，然后想把福音带到中国的中国人。
From the Western America, they would like to work with Eastern countries so that we can bring the good news of God to the Chinese people in China.
从中国人的一个福音，再带到东南亚这边的福音。
And then from this gospel to the Chinese in China to the people in Southeast Asia.
然后就在香港地方里面，他们就是负责了北部的亚洲，然后在新加坡就设定了东南亚一区里面的工作。
So that in Hong Kong they set up the office to take care of the Asia, the northern part, whereas in Singapore they set up office to take care of Southeast
那
Asia.
有些时候我们会觉得，到底一个本地的教会跟宣教到底有什么样的关系？
So often we might think, what has our Singapore church got to do with missions?
我们的教会的遗址都没填满，我们还要去国外填满别人的遗址。
Our pews, our seats in our services are not filled, and we need to go and help others bring in the people to fill their pews.
我们在教会里面的奉献箱都没填满了，要去别个国家里面填满别人的奉献箱。
Our offering box is not overflowing, and we need to go and help others raise funds for their church.
那有些时候坐在这里的弟兄姐妹可能会在考虑，到底我们为什么要做宣教的这样的一个工作？
And therefore, often than not, those of us who sit here things about why are we participating in missions work.
那宣教对教会是有什么直接的关系吗？
What has missions got to do with the church?
或者是宣教对信徒有什么样的关系吗？
Or missions team, believers, what is that relationship?
今天我们就看3处的经文。
Today we'll look at 3 passages of scripture.
第一，在马太福音28章19到20节。
Firstly, we'll look at Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 to 20.
所以你们要去，使万民做我的门徒，奉父子圣灵的名给他们施洗。
Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
20节，凡我所吩咐你们的，都教训他们遵守，我就常与你们同在，直到世界的末了。
Verse 20, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always to the very end of age.
这个是在耶稣升天之前，能够给我们信徒的一个使命。
This is a commission Christ gave to us before his ascension.
这个使命也就是交代给凡相信他的人所要做的事情。
This is given to those who believe in his name.
就好像我们现在去 hawker center， 如果你忘记把那个碗盘收起来的时候，你要罚款300块。
Just like now, when you go to the hawker centers and coffee shop to eat, if you forget to return your tray, you need to be fined $300.
我们忘记拿的时候，那些卖东西的人说是政府规定的，你必须要把那个碗盘放在旁边。
This is a regulation by the government. You should return your trays.
不是我讲的，
This is not what I say.
这是政府讲的，
This is what the government says.
所以你们要执行。
So you should execute these.
然后我们身为新加坡公民，我们怎么样做？
So as a Singapore citizens, what do we do?
因为那300块我们也乖乖做了，
Because of the $300 fine, we carry it out dutifully.
因为之前没有300块，我们也不做。
Before that, there was no fine for $300, so we do not return our trays.
之前鼓励你把那个tray 给还回去，然后还给你5毛钱。
When they first started, when you return the tray, they'll give you a 50 cents rebate.
然后你也觉得那5毛钱太少了，所以你也不要拿去还。
And sometimes when we feel 50 cents is not enough, we still do not return our trays.
然后政府也没办法，
And so the government has no choice.
最后就来罚款薪资了，
So they implemented fines.
就变成法律的一部分。
So it's part of the law legislation.
然后我们身为新加坡人，我们也就乖乖做了。
And so as Singaporeans, we carry it out dutifully.
所以这边耶稣在离开这个世界之前，就把这使命交给我们。
So here we see Jesus, before he ascended, he gave to us this commission.
换句话讲，这是对你的一个命令，而不是一个鼓励。
In other words, this is a command Christ has given to us. This is not just an encouragement.
所以你们要去使万民，这是万民，不是新加坡人的耶。
Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, not just Singapore.
凡我所吩咐你们的，都教训你们遵守，就常与你们同在，直到世界的末了。
Baptizing them and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always to the very end of the age.
换句话讲，成为信徒的我们，
In other words, as we become believers,
你是没有的选择的，
you do not have a choice.
这是你的责任，这个也是神所赐给你的一个命令。
This is your responsibility, a command that God has given to us.
教会是一个差会，
A church is a sending agency.
它可以差你出去，
You can send you forth in missions.
可以去到后港区、
You can go to the Hougang area,
Lebar 区、
to the Paya Lebar area,
洋错港区，
to the Yio Chu Kang area,
去到裕朗区，
even to Jurong area,
到马来西亚，
even to Malaysia,
然后到世界各地。
to the ends of the world.
所以我们大成教会，如果没有西方开始接受了这个信主的过程，能够把这一个的福音传到这一个东方的亚洲来。
If Thai Seng Church did not receive this good news from the Western country, the gospel would not have come to this Southeast Asian
像我们坐在这里的，
countries.
我们也很可能就没有这样的机会接受主了。
So those of us seated here would not have this opportunity to receive the Lord.
所以我们这个教会我们有这样的一个受益。
So as a church, we have benefited from this.
那我们从19年开始，我们就做了这一个的宣教的一个旅程。
And therefore, in the 1990s, we started on our missions work.
然后让弟兄姐妹也能够参与这个跨文化当中里面的那种宣教的工作。
And we allow and enable our brothers and sisters to participate in all these cross-nations ministries.
因为不同文化能够给我们体会到人与人之间当中里面有不同的沟通。
Sorry, cross-culture. So different culture, we will have different exchanges and interactions.
在沟通当中里面，我们要尝试去明白他们的这个文化的背景。
And as we communicate with them, we need to try to understand their culture background.
我们就可以看到神的创造是远超过我们所思所想的。
And then we'll be able to see that God's creation is beyond what we can think about.
第二个经文，
The second passage
是在罗马书10章14到15节。
is in the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 14 to 15.
然而人未曾信他，怎能求他呢？
How then can they call on the one they have not believed in?
未曾听见他，怎能信他呢？
And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard?
没有传道的，怎能听见呢？
And how can they hear without someone preaching to them?
说没有奉差遣的，怎么传道呢？
And how can anyone preach unless they were sent?
如经上所记，报福音、传喜信的人，他们的脚中何等佳美！
As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news.
当我们看到这一个禾场的需要的时候，
When we see the needs of the harvest field,
我们有没有想过，人未曾信他，怎么能够求他呢？
have we ever thought that people have not believed in him, how can they call on him?
若是在某个地方里面没人去传，人怎么听见呢？
And if in some areas there were nobody there to share, then how would they be able to hear?
若是我们不差人出去的话，怎么能传道呢？
And if we have not sent people out to share, then how can there be people there to share?
那神的这一个佳美的这个信心，是由我们这班的人能够带出去的。
So this good news is to be sent forth from amongst us.
那我们在分享的时候，你能够把这些经文记在头脑里面啊。
And as we continue the sharing, please think through these few passages that we are sharing with you first.
第三个地方，
And the third passage,
马太福音9章36到38节。
Matthew chapter 9, verses 36 to 38.
Alright， 他看见许多的人，就怜悯他们，
When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them,
因为他们困苦流离，如同羊没有牧人一般。
because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd.
于是对门徒说：“要收的庄稼多，做工的人少，
Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few.
所以你们当求庄稼的主打发工人出去收他的庄稼。”
Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field.
当我们看到这一些的需要的时候，我们就存着这里面的心。
So when we see the needs of the crowd, we are filled with
我们
compassion.
可以从彼得身上里面看到，他的感受就是做工的人少。
From Peter's experience, we can see that the workers are few.
禾场是大，
The harvest is great.
神要把福音传达给这么多的人。
God wants to share his good news to so many people.
所以你会看到庄稼已经熟了吗？
Have you seen the harvest is ready?
我们坐在这么舒适的地方里面，我们有没有感受得到，还有许许多多的人他们是困苦流离，如同羊没有牧人一般。
As we sit in this comfortable setting, do we see that there are many people who are like sheep without a shepherd?
最近10月27号在缅甸北部发生的一些的内政的事情。
In October 27, there were some things that happened in northern Myanmar.
我们请音响可以帮我预备一下那个 video clip， 当我讲完你就可以放上去。
Okay, maybe the PA can prepare that video clip so that after I finish sharing, you can play the video.
有些知道缅甸当中里面有内政，我们所曾经去过的拉苏现在在打仗。
Does anyone know that Lazio that we have been to is experiencing civil war at the moment?
有些人不知道，
Who don't know about it?
有些人根本就不理会。
Or you don't care about it?
我很忙碌啊，我们新加坡很多东西啊。
Because we are busy here in Singapore, there are many things happening.
为什么宣教要有这样的一个感受？
Why do we need to have this experience for missions?
我们只看到眼前的事情，
We see what is before us.
我们只看到眼前自己的问题。
We see all our own problems.
这何尝是大的？
This harvest field is big.
我们曾经去过的拉苏，现在是正在面对的这一个所谓的困苦流离的时候。
The Lazio that we have been to are being harassed and being helpless.
缅甸北部就是个果港区，
Northern Myanmar is where the Gokan is.
果港 is 一个民族。
Yeah, it's a group, people group.
这个果港他们是一个很强大的一个北区的管制的地方。
So the Northern Myanmar is being ruled by them.
他们不受缅甸的政府的管制。
They are not being controlled by the Myanmar government.
他们内政里面有他们自己的家族来掌控住整个缅甸北部的所有的经济命脉、政治命脉、人民命脉。
So the Northern Myanmar is being ruled by this people group, the various aspects of life.
他们有他们自己的政策，有他们自己的军队。
They have their own policies, they have their own army.
目前他们在里面他们自己本身的那一些的内政当中里面开始要背叛，然后产生了这样的一个战争。
So in Northern Myanmar, they have their own civil war happening at the moment.
他们就其中的一个就连同了缅甸政府能够打进这一个果港的地区当中里面，就产生了这个战争。
So some people who are staying in Northern Myanmar allied themselves with the Myanmar government, and so they have this civil war.
在果港区当中里面，他们也抓了很多的中国的人在里面做电子欺诈案。
And in Northern Myanmar, they have caught hold of many Chinese people to do scams.
所以你们如果看一些连续剧，你们都知道那些中国人被抓进去里面就要去开始就一直打电话去欺骗人。
And you see many of these Chinese people who have been captured by them will have to call different people.
如果你不听话，他就要酷刑，不然的话也要处死他。
So for those who have been captured, if you do not follow their orders to do scams, they will torture you or they will even kill you.
然后中国这样的一个地方这么大，对缅甸这一个果港区，他们也束手无策。
So even though China is a big nation, they are also helpless with this Northern Myanmar.
因为他们不被国际管辖，
Because they are not being controlled by international
他
law.
们也不能够直接进去里面来跟人家要人，
So therefore, the Chinese government cannot go directly into Northern Myanmar
他
to
们就
ask for the
派
people.
卧底进去，他们要找到证据才能够指控他们。
So they need to send in their scouts, their spies, so that they can gather evidence to prove that the people have been
那
captured.
最近呢，他们就抓到了他们中国的卧底，也把他们活埋。
And so recently, this Northern Myanmar government, they captured these spies, these scouts, and then they buried them alive.
就引起了中国的公愤，
And so the Chinese government was angry.
所以他们现在也发动战争来往果港区来投出他们的子弹。
And so the Chinese government has mobilized the army and they are fighting a war against them as well.
现在是从云南区发出去，
So the war has been deployed from Yunnan.
所以缅北到云南这个块的地区，也就是我们教会曾经去过的地方。
So Northern Myanmar to Yunnan, this is the area that we have been on missions at.
这个有3分钟的一个短短的短片，请大家可以一起来观看。
So this 3 minutes clip, let's take a look at it.
没声音吗？啊？
There's no sound.
所以这些家园都被破灭了，而给这些地方来都是他们投下的这些的炸弹，来。
The homes have been destroyed by bombs.
目前我们的退休的查牧师都跑去一线，来去慰问那些家人。
Our retired Reverend Cha has gone to the front line to ask of the families.
因为这些有些地方都是恩慈之家所开始的一些的孤儿院。
Because many of these places in northern Myanmar, they have started children's home there.
所以身为当地的一个负责的人当中的里面，他都往一线去慰问所有受到伤害的一些的家人。
As he's responsible for these homes, that's why he has gone to the front line to visit these families.
这个战争是从10月27号开始，直到现在仍然在进行。
So the war started on 27 October and now it's still on.
我们的音响部要去处理一下不？因为上次我们的 Helping Hand 之家进来，我们也是做不到哈。然后去看看问题出在哪里，接下去我们可以有一个舒畅的那种的投影。这个地方就是在拉苏，然后再往老街，再往贵开，再往北区上去，直到云南的边界。
So this clip is based on the various areas from Lasio all the way up to Yunnan.
好，那音乐来得及时。
So the music came as it's about to end.
谢谢音响的努力，希望接下去呢，我们在播放的时候都可以立刻有这样的声响。
We hope that in future that the sound can come on as quickly.
那我们可以在祷告当中里面纪念他们。
Let's continue to pray for them.
我们在很舒适的一个家庭当中里面，我们很多时候我们有我们自己的担忧。
In our comfortable homes, we have our own worries.
但这些的家园当中里面破灭，远超过我们现在我们所面对的一些的事情。
And these homes have been destroyed, and these are beyond what we have experienced.
我们作为信徒的我们必须要有那种的怜悯的心。
As believers, we should have compassion for others.
然后我们才能够看到人的灵魂的需要。
Then we can see the needs of other people.
不然的话，我们被这个世界当中里面所有的事情里面遮蔽了我们内心里面那种怜悯的心。
If not, the things happening in the world will affect our compassion, our heart of compassion.
我们看不到人们需要主。
That we will not see that the people need the Lord.
这些战乱的地方当中里面，我们刚刚面对的是以色列跟巴勒斯坦，但我们在靠近我们一点的，就是缅北当中里面的战乱事件。
What most of us are concerned with is the war between Israel and Palestine. But what is nearer to us is something that we should be looking at as well.
我们也可以发动我们的那种的资源。
We should also activate our resources.
那弟兄姐妹可以在祷告当中里面纪念。
Brothers and sisters, we should keep them in our prayer.
弟兄姐妹，如果在奉献上有感动的，也可以奉献。
And if you are moved to offer to them, you can do so.
我们会经过 CNEC 把我们的奉献能够转成他们粮食推上去给他们。
And through CNEC, we can turn our offerings into food items to support them.
那我们这一次呢，我们去到柬埔寨。
This time we have been to Cambodia.
我们感谢神的恩典。
We give thanks to God for His grace.
可以哈。那我们的大成教会过去的 30年当中里面，我们去过的地方就在这个图案里面。
So in this slide, you see the various nations that Tai Seng has visited.
然后缅甸北部的这样的一个地方，
Northern Myanmar, in this area,
是我们大成教会早期开始的一个工作。
was an area that we first visited early days.
我们过去的时间是93年。
And when we were there, it was 1993.
那我们看到他们经济当中里面的成长，
And we see their economic growth.
我们也看到神的施工在那边扩展。
We see God's work being built and expanded.
那查牧师所推展的儿童工作，经过不同的州往北部里面推广。
And the children work that Reverend Cha started, it has extended into northern
那
Myanmar.
进入了不同的一个区域里面，然后建立了恩慈之家，在不同的那个州中。
That the home of grace is being built in various provinces in northern
那么
Myanmar.
也看到，在当中里面，他们也建立了神学院。
And we also see the building of Bible colleges, theological
那从93
institutions.
年一直往前走，2000多年、10多年、20年的时间。
From 93 until 2020, over more than a decade or two.
对他们人民来讲，他们也感觉到那一个的光明。
They can see the light that God has shined upon them.
我们早期去的时候，我们必须要坐车子上去。
In the early days, when we go to do missions, we need to go by vehicles, by
我们
cars.
去到仰光，我们还要飞到曼德里，曼德里再上到拉树，我们还要坐上13个小时。
To travel from Yangon to Mandalay to Lasio, we spend about 13 over hours.
但神保守这个地方当中，里面给他们经济开始的风波。
And God blessed them and abundantly in terms of economics.
他们的飞机每一天从原本坐军机我们那时候去的时候，到一天里面有大概3班的这一个的商机一直在走来走去。
So when we were there, we had to take their military planes, and then until the later years, there are 3 flights that's being scheduled daily.
后来我们上去的时候，我们要订机票，我们都要很早订因为他们的本地的人要往南边走，往光里面做生意，他的那个飞机每次都满。
So when we go to there, we have to book our plane tickets earlier because the people will fly into Yangon to do business.
所以近这5年来内政发生的时候，整个家园、整个面貌又重新陷入30年前的缅甸。
And now when the war started, the situation has reverted back to 30 years ago.
对他们本地的人当中里面叫苦连天。
So the local people are in dire stress.
经过几代的努力当中里面，好像看到光明。
So after the work of a few generations, they seem to see the light.
一场内政过来，整个柬埔寨当中里面完全都是处在于战争的一个状况。
缅甸是吗？
缅甸对，
Yeah.
我讲不是缅甸。
你讲柬埔寨。
对不起哈。
Okay, so with this civil war in Myanmar, we see that the situation there has gone worse again, gone bad again.
今年呢，我们都想安排过去给我们都没有这样的一个机会能够安排过去。
We were initially planning to go there, but then we did not have this chance to go
因为政局都一直在改变。
because the political scene keeps changing there.
拉苏境地当中里面，他们小孩子都可以拿着枪在街边里面乱横扫一片。
In Lasio, we can see children holding machine guns, shooting randomly.
我们都不用讲到其他的小村落的地方。
And we don't need to talk about even the rural areas.
那我们在当中里面纪念他们的困难，
So let's remember them in their difficult times.
特别为着当地的基督教的组织当中里面来更有魄力的，能够来帮助当地人的需要。
To pray for the the Christian organizations there, that they have the energy to bless and help the people in need.
那么这一次我们去到柬埔寨呢，就跟大家报告整个柬埔寨的过程。
So this time that we are in Cambodia, let us share with you the whole process.
来，玛瑙烘焙，刚才你看过最后的那一个 clip 的时候，2019年我们就开始了这个玛瑙烘焙。
As you watched that video at the beginning, in 2019 we opened the Mana Bakery.
在这个整个的过程上，我们都经历了考验。
And through this whole process, these years, we have experienced different challenges.
弟兄姐妹也跟我们同心的来祷告。
And brothers and sisters have prayed along with all of us.
当地的需要，OK， 我们想要推广的，我们神都在保守。
In terms of the local needs, there are things that we want to proceed with. We see that God is leading us.
大成教会一向来我们做的都是宣教短宣的这一个的工作。
At Seng Church, we have always been involved in missions, short-term missions work.
每年我们都会组织大概15天的这一个宣教之旅，去到需要的地方。
Every year, we organize about 15 days of a short-term mission
我
trip
们都跟当地的组织来配搭。
to work with all the local agencies.
在区域当中里面，基本当中我们都是跟 CNEC 配搭。
And so, in the Southeast Asian region, we always work with CNEC.
这一次我们去了柬埔寨的这样的一个尝试。
And for us to work in Cambodia, this experience itself,
我们是要开始推动教会在宣教的合场当中里面能够有一个看见。
we wanted to push ahead with our church to have a missional mindset.
然后弟兄姐妹有感动的改次可以去的就是1年的这个宣教的合场。
So that when we have this touch to go for missions, that we can go to Cambodia for a year.
一些年轻的人，他们毕业的时候，他们可能有些时候，他们想要在进入工作的场地当中里面有1-2年的那种的空间的时候，他们就可以去尝试让神来使用他们。
This is so that if our youngsters, if they want to take a gap year or two, that they can go and experience this missions life.
或者是我们的中年的人 ，OK， 做工作到一半 ，OK， 忽然间觉得工作已经是到一个极限 ，OK， 你需要休息的时候，你也可以踏上这一个宣教的这一个短暂的一个经历。
Or for our adults who are facing midlife difficulties or challenges, we can take a break and go and experience missions.
或者我们的退休人士，现在我们退休人士都还很年轻哈，他们还可以做很多的事情，他们都可以踏上这样的一个侍奉的道路。
And even our senior members, that even though they have retired, but they are still very young, and that they can go and experience missions in another way.
所以我们鼓励超过15天的一个宣教的体验。
So we wanted to encourage more than 15 days of missions experience.
那使到大成教会能够在宣教合场当中里面有不同的一个突破。
So that we can have breakthrough in different aspects of missions.
我们就开始了这个烘焙的工作。
And so we started the Mana Bakery.
然后我们之间，我们大家都会知道，我们烘焙里面，我们一向来所碰到的问题都是同工上的问题。
So we do know that the challenges, especially that we face local, is that of co-workers.
我们2019年开始的时候，然后借着我们要推展的时候呢，我们就会有一个这个 COVID 的来临。
2019, after we have done the opening ceremony, COVID hit us.
就是开业之后，然后我们把那些饼、那些面包送给那个当地人之后呢，我们就关门了。
After the opening ceremony, after another week or so, we close our doors.
我们轰轰烈烈的，然后在12月的时候呢，就把500个面包去分给所有的居民之后呢，然后我们就关门。
We had a grand opening. We distributed about 500 over breads to the neighborhood, and then after that, we closed our doors.
然后 COVID 就来了，我们也不能过去。
Because COVID hit us and we cannot travel.
一等就3年。
And that wait took us 3 years.
3年过后 ，OK， 然后门一开了，我们也一直在讨论到底是不是神要我们继续的这个工作。
So after 3 years, when travel is allowed, we are also praying whether God wants us to continue on this mission work.
然后我们再次数算整个经历。
And as we recount on these experiences God has given us,
因为神在每一个阶段都为我们开路。
we see that God has opened the doors every step of the way.
我们在2018年的时候开始为这件事情来祷告。
2018, when we started praying for this work,
那时候我们就去找不同的地方。
we have looked for various places in Cambodia.
大的、小的，不同地方我们都去找。
We have looked at big plots of land, smaller areas, and so on.
但那地方都不是很理想。
We see that none of these places are suitable.
我们也不急着进入这个工作。
And we were not in a hurry to enter into this mission work.
那我们也一直在祷告，一直在寻找。
And we had kept on praying and keep on looking at different areas.
就在2018年尾的时候呢，神就开了这个路。
And at the end of 2018, God opened this way for us.
1年的时间的搜索当中里面呢，给我们的这一个的校长的这个的岳父给他们的地方当中里面呢，就有一个人把他的那个地把他的租界的那地方，他就停止了。
So as we were in communication for over a year with the father-in-law of the principal of the school, one of his shops is being returned to him.
所以这个店就是在一个Highway 5的一个公路，就好像是他们的从 Phnom Penh 到北部，从南部到北部必经的一条路。
So the shop is located on the road that connects the south to the north.
所以这个地方是属于好的一个地方。
And so this shop is supposed to be at a good location.
那个人潮来来往往都必须要经过的地方。
This is a place that there will be a lot of people passing through.
然后我们又在这个校长的护庇底下就在他的家里隔壁的那一间。
And then we were protected by the principal because this shop is right next to where he stays.
他也很乐意帮助，也给我们重新的整顿这一个店铺。
And he extended his help to us so that we can reorganize the whole shop house.
那么我们看到神也给我们一个好的地方。
And we see that God blessed us with this good place.
但是开始了之后，这个 COVID 就来了。
But after we started, COVID hit us.
然后我们要思考整个过程。
And so we have to rethink through the whole process.
那么看到神的开路，我们就决定再去这一个的缅甸，去这个柬埔寨，能够再思考，也经历整个过程。
And as we see God leading the way, opening the way for us, we feel that we should continue to explore this ministry, this work in Cambodia.
所以2022年我们就过去了。
So 2022 we went back.
然后我们也开始了神也为我们开路，来预备了这3个年轻的学生们，能够在我们当中来同工。
And God opened the way to bring to us these 3 young co-workers, students to work with us.
那我们2023年我们就开始了这个训练。
And so 2023 we started training them.
然后就到了这一个的2023年下半年的时候。
And then we entered into the second half of 2023.
那我们就必须要给他们自己去操作。
We need to enable them for them to work by themselves.
那我们就在那边2个月的时间呢，我在那边1个月时间，婉仪在那边1个月时间。
And so we take between Wani and myself, we spent 2 months there, each taking a month.
我们就确保他们在操作方面都能够进场。
To ensure that these 3 co-workers are able to operate the bakery by themselves.
那经过这样的训练里面，他们所做的面包在Kampunjinan是最好吃的。
And so after our training for so many months, the bread that they bake is the best in Kampong Chinan.
不是我夸大，问彼得就可以了。
It's not that I'm exaggerating. You ask Peter.
他天天要吃我们的麻辣面包，我没有给他吃。
Every day he asks for bread, I did not give to him.
因为别人做的面包没有我们这么好吃。
Because the other bakeries do not make bread that's so tasty.
所以我们带新加坡的 formula 去，我们的面包是最好吃。
So our recipe is the best and is the most tasty.
他们要拿到这么好吃的面包，他们要去到金边才拿得到。
To be able to eat such tasty bread, they need to go to Phnom Penh to be able to eat it.
我们卖的一个面包就只有1块钱。
And we are selling it at just the price of $1.
7毛半美金跟1块2毛半美金。
About 75 USD, 75 cents or 125.
我们也调查了这些价钱跟那个 市场的价钱是一样的。
And so we research and see that this price is the same as their markets.
市场就是那些本地人吃的市场，他们的面包的价钱是这样的。
As in the price that the locals eat of the local bread in the markets.
我们卖金边的素质的那个面包，但是我们用了康本金安市场的价钱来卖。
So we are selling a quality non-pan bread at the cheap price of this Kampong Chinang.
然后我们又在他们的最繁忙的街道里面开设了这一个的店。
And we are selling this bread on this busy road in their area.
神都为我们开了这么美好的一个地方里面，没有一个理由我们是做不起的。
God has opened a way to enable us to start this work here in such a good place. We should not be not able to build up this ministry.
问题就是工人少。
And so the main problem is that we lack of workers.
但是有人做，但是要有人去监督。
So we have workers, local workers, but we need management, people to supervise.
所以这3个学生都是我们 sponsor 的2个学生是我们 sponsor， 从他们10岁 sponsor 到他们18岁。
So these 3 workers, 2 of them were sponsored by us when they were 10 years old, all the way until 18 when they completed their studies.
换句话讲，他们的那个的品格是不错的。
In other words, the character, the well-being of these students is good.
但是很快的，我们给他们自己去打理这个生意的时候，
But quickly, when we allow them to manage the bakery by themselves,
他们的文化、他们的习惯就很快就出现。
their culture, their habits take place or happens quickly.
那柬埔寨的人一般上是很懒散的，
So Cambodian people tends to be a bit lazy.
他们没有监督的情况底下里面他们都可以就是不赚一点点，然后可以不用做工的。
Without supervision, they just need to earn a bit and then they will stop work.
那么这次我们过去的时候呢，
So this time when we are there,
我这个是不可以按的吗？还是什么？
可以按。
还是你们帮我按的？你帮我按吧，我看这个应该是出问题。好，来，OK，对，来，然后我们就我们这一次去的时候呢，我们也有接触了不同的地方。
So when we went over for this trip, we contacted various places.
这个是你们按还是我按？慢一点。It's not a slideshow, right? I just pick up some slides to share. 你要给我 stand 一下。OK, all right. So Seng 的这样的一个地方里面，我们就可以看到神的工作是需要酝酿的。
So in Seng Canaan School, we see that God works needs to continue to do.
这个是红帽桥的福音堂，然后早期国良夫妇他们去那边侍奉的时候，我们参与的这样的一个学校。
This is a work that our brother Winston, the couple, where they went over and we were part of this work.
那时候
started.
2013年他们去的时候算是开荒工作啊。
So in 2013, when they were there, they were doing pioneering work.
他们就只有100多个学生而已。
There were only about 100 students.
国良在那边是教导他们的老师。
So our brother Winston was one of the teachers there.
现在他们是将近900个学生。
And now the school has over 900 over students.
在这2013年，直到差不多2018年的时候，才整个过程忽然间起步。他们从100个、200个出来回，到了2018年的时候就上升到300个、400个，然后就到600个，然后就到800个。
So from 2013 to 2018, that's when it started to take off. From about 100, 200, then 2018 they start to have 300, 400, 600.
他们在那边的耕耘，差不多要15年以上的时间才看到效果。
So they have been working there for over 15 years before they start to see results.
他们的奉献，他们的持守，在早期的时候是看不见的。
Their offering, their perseverance in the start, you can't see them.
然后最近他们发展到这个地步，又面对新的挑战。
And so with this development, they now face a new challenge.
附近有起了很多新的学校，
Because around in the neighborhood, many different schools are started.
他们的学校，他们的其他的学校都是私人学校。
And these other schools are all private schools.
他们所面对的是那些学校家家户户这些学生去敲门。
What these private schools do is they go from door to door to knock on the doors of these locals.
把这些学生抢过来，给他们 discount。
They will snatch all these students to give them a discount.
所以他们招生的方法是每一家去敲门。
So these private schools go to each home and knock on their doors.
所以神的恩典到了一个地步当中，里面不是代表风平浪静的。
So God's grace, when it comes to a certain extent, is not always smooth sailing.
他们目前面对的就是那些孩子、那些老师们，他们会离开这间学校。
So the challenge that the school face now is the children, the students, as well as the teacher leaving the
因为
school.
那边的老师们赚取的是300块钱美金一个月，
Because for their teachers, they are giving them about 300 USD a month.
那其他学校给的是500到600块钱。
But the other schools are paying these teachers 500 to 600 USD.
这个是他们的挑战。
So this is their challenge.
那我们在当中里面，我们就有奉献的这些的儿童们。
So amongst them, we still continue to sponsor some of the children.
那其他我们之前奉献的，他们都毕业了。
The other students that we have been sponsoring has graduated.
这个最大的这个是 camera，
The oldest there is camera.
然后另外一个小的不大的那个是 maroon， 这两个是我们之前还继续奉献的。
And the botak, the younger one is maroon, that we are continuing to sponsor them.
然后现在我们就拿了多2个小孩子，就是一个中间的那个男孩子跟这个小女孩。
So we have sponsored another 2 more younger children, the boy and the girl.
所以感谢神的恩典呢，这个 camera 以前是不读书的，
So we thank God for His grace for this older camera. He doesn't like to study in the beginning.
今年我去的时候跟他谈，他已经进入了 A 班 8A。
And this year when I visited them, he says that he's in 8A.
所以他们有 A 班跟 B 班。
So they have the A class and the B class.
A 班是好班 ，B 班是比较不会读书的班。
So those in the A class are people who put in effort to study. B class is not so good.
所以我们的奉献者天天都没有什么感觉，现在有感觉了。
So as we sponsor them, we might not have a feel of what's happening. So now you can see.
需要时间。
It takes time.
下一章。
Next slide.
这个就是康邦吉南晚上的一些的面貌改变。
So this is where the outlook, the nightlife of Kampong Chinang.
就是一个公园嘛。
This is a park.
这个公园晚上是很多人的。
And at night it's filled with people.
OK， 下一张。
Next slide.
这个是Winston 国良在早期2016年的时候介绍了我们进入的一个孤儿院。
So this is the person who takes care of an orphanage since 2016 that we have been with them.
所以2015年、2016年到现在，我们都跟他们一起配搭。
So from 2015, 2016, we have been working with them all the way until now.
这个他看顾的有大概14个小孩子。
And he's taking care of about 14 children.
美国奉献给他的就是100块。
And what American they have offered to him is about $100.
这些14个小孩子，他要自己去找生活来养活他们。
And for him, he will need to look for his own sponsors to feed these 14 children.
他就会去山上砍柴，然后把它卖在市场。
He will go to the mountain areas to chop the trees and then sell the firewood.
在后院当中里面做了一个池塘，把那些小鱼丢进去养，养了之后，他们每一餐应该就是吃鱼了。
At the back of the orphanage, they have a pond where they rear fishes from small fries all the way.
他的家人是不错的，全部在农片做工的。
This pastor, his whole family is working in Phnom Penh.
有一次我就问他，为什么你不去农片享福？
So I asked him, why do you not enjoy life in Phnom Penh?
他说神呼召他在这孤儿院里面看顾这些孩子。
And he said God called him to take care of these children in this orphanage.
Next slide. 来，所以我们的Peter OK 就有机会跟这些人、小孩子来这一些的活动。
And we see Peter have some activities with these children of the home.
然后我们也奉献了帮助这一个的孤儿院读英文。
And we have offered and sponsored this orphanage to have English classes.
So 2022年到2023年的时候，这一个他们都派去他们的那些私下学校里面教英文，他们都被鄙视、被排斥。
So when they were learning English in all the schools that they are in, they have been ostracized.
然后我们就帮助他们找了一个老师。
So we helped the orphanage to look for English teacher.
那这个老师就教得不好，也出现了一些问题。
But this teacher was not teaching well, and so there were some problems.
那么感谢神呢，在上一次当中呢，我们就找了2位基督徒的老师。
And we thank God that the last trip we were managed to find 2 Christian teachers for them.
一个是教小的，一个是教大的。
So one will take care of the younger class,
So
and then
far,
one older.
他们已经教了5个月，进展不错。
And after 5 months, we see their progress with the children.
感谢神的恩典。
We give thanks for His grace.
Okay, next slide.
So next.
好，我们感谢神的恩典哦。来，那个英文老师还没来，然后我们就叫他唱歌。
We give thanks to God for His grace. Because the teacher was late, so we asked Peter to teach them some song.
所以这个是国际语言。
So music is an international language.
那比手画脚解释了这个歌词。
And through his action, he explained the lyrics to them.
还不错，他们还有节奏感吧。
And we see that the children are very rhythmic.
因为我们早一点去，那老师只能够那些老师都在橄榄树教书，5点之后才能够来。
So the 2 Christian teacher works in the Canaan school, and so after 5, then they can join us.
好 ，next slide please. OK， 这个 Mr. Hall 就是我们的顾问，他就是橄榄 school 的校长。
So this is the advisor, Mr. Hall, who is the principal for Canaan School.
每一次我们去，我们都会跟他吃饭。
So every trip that we are there, we will have a meal with him.
他的岳父就是租给我们这个地方。
And his father-in-law is the owner of the shop house that we are using.
每一个月我们只还120块美金。
Every month we are paying $120 USD for rent.
对面的那个街铺已经起了200块美金了。
The shop opposite us is now paying $200 USD.
我们要为他祷告。
We need to pray for them.
因为他现在有 cancer。
Because so you cancer?
岳父。
The father-in-law now is down with cancer.
Yeah, so 已经维持了半年的时间。
So he's been diagnosed for the last half a year.
每一天他都在算日子。
So every day he's calculating, he's numbering his days.
但是他很有喜乐。
But he's filled with joy.
他也很欢迎我们为他祷告。
And he is happy for us to pray with him for him.
那么求神保守。
And we ask for God's protection.
Next, please. 这个是另外一个教会我们配搭的。
So this is the other church we often work with.
Faith Bible Baptist Church.
It's a Faith Bible Baptist Church.
这个红色衣服是菲律宾来的牧者。
The pastor is the one in red. He's from the Philippines.
他今年80岁。
He's 80 years old this year.
他在菲律宾里面至少有30-40年的时间吧。
He served in Philippines for 30 or 40 years.
他有另外孩子，也开了另外一间教会。
And his son is in Cambodia, started another church as well.
So 我们也跟他们配搭。
And we also work with them.
那些乡村里面的村子的那些孩子们， 都是他们每个礼拜天都去做的。
So the various villages, the children are those that they are reaching out to every week.
Next slide. 这些就是我们把面包分发给他们的这些村落。
So this is one of the village that the bread will be shared with.
你看到这个，我那天我就问说，到底有没有人认识我？这个黄色的那个衣服的那个女孩子嘛，抱着一个小孩子的嘛，他就讲说他认识我。我们2016年去，那时候她还是一个年轻的小女孩，现在有3个孩子。
You see the lady in yellow, 2015, when we visited, she was just a young girl, and now she's a mother of 3.
So 心里面很安慰啊，感谢神的恩典，我们所做的工作，目前为止还是会有人留下来的。
So we are comforted that over the years, as we continue to visit them, these people still stay on with the Lord's
他就是
blessing.
那些年轻的那些10多岁的孩子的那个时候。
She's just like those teens who are behind her, around her.
So 我们感谢神的恩典。
So we give thanks
Next slide.
for His grace.
他们就有这样的一个车子哈，我不懂有没有拍出来，这个车子可以坐80个人。
So this is a vehicle that can take up to 80 people.
里面、前面、后面、上面，他们都坐满了人。
So inside the vehicle, on top of the vehicle, in front of the vehicle, and so on, various places.
OK， 走。这面包他们收到，他们已经吃了我们的面包，差不多要有3个月的时间了。
They have been eating our bread for the last 3 over months.
我还在考虑说他们会不会对面包感觉到腻了。
And I was thinking, will they grow sick of this bread?
还在想方法有没有要去改变。
And I was thinking, should I change the various breads?
那我去到那边看到他们，非常开心拿到那个面包。
But when I visited them, I see that they were so happy to receive the breads.
他每个礼拜都拿一样的面包。
And every week they are receiving the same bread.
但对他们来讲很珍惜。
But to them, they treasure this bread.
所以有些时候 ，OK， 我们生长在一个足够的一个社会里面，我们不会珍惜吧。
And when we live in such an environment of abundance, we do not treasure this food.
Next slide, please. 这一对夫妇当中里面呢，就叫做Bunlut 跟 Vandi。
So this couple, Bunlut and Vandi.
然后我们这次去的时候呢，我们是要整顿这一个烘焙的这一个的工作。
So we wanted to do a bit of restructuring, reorganization of our bakery.
因为这个工作当中，我们在那边监督的时候，他们都做得很好。然后我们回来的时候，接下去的那2个月，10月，跟11月，他们的工作量，他们就做得很差。
So when we were there for 2 months, the co-workers were working very well. But the 2 months that we were not there, then the work done is not as good.
我们在那边的时间，我们可以有30块到40块美金一天哈。
So when we were there, we can earn about 30 to 40 USD a day.
但我们离开的时候，他每天他们只做到4、5块美金。
But the 2 months that we were not there, they only have about 4 or 5 USD a day.
就肯定出差错了。
So then there is something wrong with it.
然后这一次我们去的时候呢，我们就学了晚仪了，不告诉他们。
So this time when we visited them, we did not inform them beforehand.
我们就突击检查。
So we did a spot check.
我们去那边做侦探。
Just like investigator, we were visiting them.
那上帝怜悯了，也给我们抓到了。
So by God's grace, we were able to catch what was happening.
但这个只是一个文化的一个差异。
But this is just because of the cultural difference.
他们做的面包都很好吃。
The bread they make is very tasty.
但是他们的文化就没自律。
But because of their culture, there's no discipline.
他们的文化就很懒散。
Because of the culture, they are a bit slack, a bit lazy.
我们没有尽到做督促的一个责任 ，OK， 所以他们本身就懒散下来，而不能够自律的去操纵的这样的一个工作。
So when without supervision, they will cut corners and take slacken off.
然后明年度他们就会去做他们的别的一个工作，我们只剩下一个学生给一个员工能够继续跟我们做。
So out of the 3 co-workers, 2 of them will go for their studies, and we are only left with 1 co-worker.
那时候我们也一直在祷告咯，不是讲3个人一直祷告咯，他讲说我们祷告就是没人嘛。
So we have been praying. We say, there's 3 workers. Let's continue to pray. But after praying, there's still no more workers coming.
然后我也曾经有念头说，不然我们把它关掉。
And I have the thoughts that why not we close this bakery?
然后我们去到工厂，看到那些小孩子，我们所奉献的，他们的需要也是挺大。
But when we go to the villages, we see the needs of these children being very
可以
great.
看他们的渴慕可以看到我们的这个面包的工作，也带动了他们教会里面的这一个的福音工作。
We see their hunger for the bread and for the good news.
他们的人接着这个面包也多了。
And because of this offering of bread, we can see more people coming to their outreach.
然后我们又有这样的一个负担。
So we have this burden from God.
神给我们好的地方，神给我们好的价钱，神给我们一个当地的人都可以做好的面包。
So God gave to us this good place, good price, and good workers to make good breads for us.
我也跟 Mr. Hall 谈了，
And so I've been talking with Mr.
我
Hall,
们的顾问，
our advisor.
我说可能我们不继续，
I was telling him maybe we might not continue.
他说很可惜，
He said it will be a pity
然后这个地方很好，
because this place is good,
所以他也不希望我们能够停止。
and he doesn't want us to stop.
那我去的时间很短，我们就要结束，OK， 我们就决定来继续做这样的工作。
So our time there was short, but we decided we will carry on with this ministry.
至少还有一个人嘛。
At least we have 1 more worker.
谈完了之后，至少还有一个人肯愿意继续做下去。
Yeah. After talking to them, 1 of them will still want to continue.
那我们就必须要去找另外一些人咯。
So we have to look for other workers.
然后我在离开之前，婉仪有跟我讲过，有一个人有一个马来西亚的宣教士。
So before I left for Cambodia, Wan Yi was telling me there was this Malaysian missionary.
这个马来西亚宣教士，他在婉仪离开的最后一天，也介绍他一对夫妇。
And this Malaysian missionary introduced a couple to Wan Yi just before she left the other time.
但最后一天呢，他们也没办法谈到什么结果。
Because it was the last day of her trip there, and so they couldn't talk much.
那回来的时候，他也跟我讲这对人。
So when she came back, she shared with me about this couple.
然后这次去的时候，我就要去找这一个宣教士。
So this time when I was there, I looked for this missionary.
那我就找不到他，
I couldn't find this missionary,
找了几天了找不到他。
and I couldn't find her.
然后我在问丽玲说，他是不是回去马来西亚了？
So I was asking, did she return to Malaysia?
然后我们也不知道。
And we don't know.
然后最后我们就8日晚上的时候，我们就去他们的橄榄树新的一个工作，叫做伯大尼。
So on Monday night, we visited their new ministry, the Bethany House.
他们就有一些的孩子们给他们觉得可以栽培他的，他们都会在他们的 Bethany House 里面来带领他们。
So in the Bethany House, they would sponsor or take care of a few children that they can disciple.
所以那天我去的时候，就刚好看到他在那边。
So that day that night when we were there, we saw this missionary.
因为他说他这段时间他在考他的 online 的 master degree。
So during this season, she's doing her master's exams.
刚刚考完。
She just finished her exams.
就参加了这个晚餐。
And so she joined them for the dinner.
然后我们就交通起了这个的侍奉，然后他就跟我讲了这一个人，
And
这一
then,
对夫妇。
and then we communicated about her ministries, and then we were talking about this couple as well.
然后他说有这对夫妇要介绍了，这样我们明天也是最后一天在那边。
And so the following day is our last day there, and so and yeah.
然后他就把照片寄给我，
So she sent me their photos.
然后我就看，就是那个男孩子，穿黄色的跟隔壁那个女孩子。
Yeah, so it's the gentleman and the lady there.
前面这个戴眼镜的是 Annie， 就是那个宣教士。
So the lady in front was Annie, the Malaysian missionary.
她在柬埔寨19年，目前讲的一口流利的柬埔寨话。
So she's been in Cambodia for 19 years, and she speaks fluent Cambodian.
那天晚上看的那个照片，我就说，很熟，这个人不懂是谁。
So when I was looking at the picture, I said, "Hey, it's very familiar looking."
然后最后我就记得了。
And then I remembered.
然后我就去看我的 Facebook，
And then I looked through my Facebook.
这对夫妇在2个月前，他就 send 了一个 friend Facebook 给我。
So this couple actually sent me a friend request 2 months ago.
我也不认识他。
I don't know them.
我看背景好像我熟悉的地方，所以我就 add 了他。
I look at the background, it's some place that I'm familiar with. That's why I added him as a friend.
然后他讲柬埔寨话我也听不懂，我们就最多只能赖来赖去而已，就是这样。
He speaks Cambodian, we can't communicate. We just like each other's posts.
那我说哦，原来是他去在那边 ，OK， 我就看到上帝的恩典实在足够我们用。
So when we are there, we realize that it's him. Then we see God's grace being sufficient for us.
那我们就在那边跟他们分享。
And then we shared with them.
他们信主经过他们的侍奉，
How they have come to Christ and how they have been serving
他
God.
们在6年前，他们是在一个美国的一个福音的组织当中里面来做这个村落的这个宣教士。
6 years ago, they started as a missionary sponsored by American agency to do village work.
他们是做卫生，然后鼓励人家吃蔬菜，教导人家种蔬菜。
So they were there to do hygiene and to encourage agriculture and eating vegetables.
他会去村落里面，给跟那些村子的村长，他们愿意接受，他们就开始，然后从那边把福音传给他们，然后建立一个教会。
And they were supposed to go to the villages to talk to the chiefs and then to start a church there.
他们在6年里面建了10个村落。
And in the 6 years that they were in Cambodia, they started 10 different works.
甘榜金南就在甘榜金南而已。
Just within Kampong Chinak itself.
然后因为这个组织他们的资金不够，他们就裁员了。
And so the American organization did have to lay off some staff because they were out of funds.
这过去7个月里面，他们都还没有找到工作。
And so the last 7 months, this couple was without work.
那上帝就给我们看到有这样的一个同工。
And God showed us this co-worker, this couple.
这个男孩子是以前是做卖柜的。
So the gentleman Banlo used to sell cakes.
柬埔寨的
The Cambodian kuehs.
那个妻子他是一个很 friendly 的一个人哈，他就在我们在分享那个工作的时候，他就心里在想说，我的丈夫可以做 bakery， 我可以去招生意。
And so the lady Wendy, she's very outgoing, she's very friendly. She was thinking that if my husband were to bake, I can go and look out for customers and ask them to buy.
他说他们2个人擅长不一样。
And they have different giftings.
然后我们去探访他的爸爸。
So we visited his father.
他爸爸是甘榜金南里面的一个村落的牧者。
Also, his father is a pastor in a village in Kampong Chinak.
在早期的 Phnom Penh 读了3年的神学。
He studied 3 years in Phnom Penh for his theological studies.
目前为止还在村落里面建教会。
And he's still building the church in the villages.
他爸爸的负担也很强烈。
The father's burden is very clear from God.
目前有带领6间教会。
He's leading 6 different churches.
他开荒了之后，这当中里面寻找一个领袖，然后每个拜6，他就会去教导这一个领袖，然后礼拜天他负责讲道，这个领袖负责讲道。
So as he pioneered the works, he looked for leaders to take over the various churches that he will have a pre-study with them on Saturday, so that on Sunday these leaders can preach.
然后他就会给他们52个礼拜，1年的时间。
And he gives to them 52 weeks in a year.
过后，这个领袖就要自己带这个教会。
And then after this 52 weeks of training, this leader will take care of the church
这
by
么感谢
himself.
神，我们看到这个家庭是对柬埔寨本身的村子的穷人有负担的。
So we give thanks to God because this couple, this family has burden for the poor in the Cambodian villages.
所以在明年度1月的时候呢，我们就会接洽他们。那个男弟兄就是温律，给他拜1到拜5就会在我们的 bakery 做，然后拜6礼拜他就会跟他的老婆一起去村落里面传福音、开荒工作。
So for this couple, Monday to Friday, they will work in our bakery. And then on Saturday, Sunday, they will be doing missions work in the villages.
我们感谢神的恩典，
We give thanks to God for His grace.
他们觉得我们来是上帝派我们来的。
They feel that God sent us to them.
我们觉得我们见到他是神派他来我们这边
And
的。
for us, we see that God sent them to us.
我们感谢神的恩典，
And we give thanks for His grace.
也求弟兄姐妹能够在祷告中里面纪念。
And I pray, ask that our brothers and sisters continue to keep this ministry in your prayers.
因为我们需要的不是一个烘焙的一个技术员，我们需要一个同工。
What we need is not just someone who is skilled in baking, but we need a co-worker who is after God's heart.
那看到合场当中里面许许多多的有经验的一些宣教士，他们在主的工作里面不是10个月，是10年的时间才看到果效。
And we see that the co-workers in the field is not in 10 months that they will have result, but it's through 10 years of good work, then you see results.
我们感谢神的恩典，
So we continue to give thanks to
神
God
在
for
最
His
后一天
grace.
当中里面，我们好像是没路走，他却开了另外一条路。
Again, at the last day, it seems that there's no more road for us, but God made a way for us.
明年又是一个光明挑战的一年，
So next year, it will be a bright year, and it will still be filled with challenges.
我们同心祷告。
Let us pray.
现在主，我们要感谢你的恩典，因为你的安排，你的时间是最美好的。神，我们在经历神你的恩典的时候，我们看到主你在这过程上每一步的都在牵着我们的手，好让我们来学习，能够在过程上我们所犯的错误，我们所做的不足，神是要磨练我们，帮助我们能够在这个合场上，我们能够看到神啊，你要建立我们相信主的人如何为主你来侍奉，相信主的一个教会如何能够在宣教合场当中里面能够来扶持神你的事工。我们求主你来带领帮助保守大成教会有这样的一个机会，也带领的弟兄姐妹能够在这一些的分享当中里面有共同的看见，以及神啊，你来兴旺我们大成教会在宣教的合场当中里面，能够带动我们每一个人能够成为主合用的器皿，能够把福音传扬到更远的地方，使到更多没有机会得到福音的人能够得着神你。求主你帮助保守在这些动乱的国家当中里面，神啊，你要把你的爱带到当中，愿主你与我们同在。感谢祷告奉主耶稣圣名，阿们。